I had a class, I think probably a TA or somebody must have told the professor that, technology is the way to go. It's 2018 or whatever. And so it seemed that they were making an attempt to update their methods, but they didn't quite understand the technology. And it did, unfortunately, it did create an environment where they were asking us to find sources or check the syllabus or do these different things that weren't posted incorrectly or that they were scattered around. And it created a lot of confusion. A lot of people ended up having to ask for clarification and during the classroom, which ended up taking time within the classroom. And so the only suggestion I would have is that if you feel that technology can, enhance the classroom, absolutely it can. But I would try to identify the ways to make sure that it's being used well and that the students are understanding how they're interacting with it.
I have two pros and one con, actually. So a lot of the science-heavy classes, every time I would sit in a class and the professor is explaining equations using projectors and slides, and then just jumping from one slide to the other, I would read maybe two equations, and that was it. I would just take his word for what he's saying. So I would just stop watching and I would just listen, because that was easier for me to follow than just seeing all of the notations. Especially that in equations and mathematics, some notations can look different between one professor to the other. So that was very hard to follow. Whereas, because then if you tell the professor, oh, we're unfamiliar with this notation, the slides are set. So you have to keep trying to follow up. Where if they were being driven directly on a board, then we would be able to have an interaction with it. Two pros, actually, where it was very useful. One was video call meetings. So the professor had video call meetings instead of office hours meetings. So because we were working as a group on the project, so he would just have a conference call with all of us. So in this case, a lot of the students who lived away from campus did not have to travel an hour just to meet, and the meeting hours were very wide open. So a lot of times our meeting was on Sunday. And then one actually was a very useful tool for me, especially as a grad student, is some professors have taught the class or sometimes have to offer the class for both students who are attending in class physically or online, and making these lectures from those available to everyone. So even if it's the same lecture, being able to go back to a video of that lecture is very helpful. Sometimes a lot of students are working. Sometimes we do mistakes and slip-ups and we stay up too late and it's hard to follow. So being able to go back to these things takes a lot of pressure off the students, but I also think it can be a sort of something that can be used also not to pay attention to class. So I think making them accessible but not completely accessible is the right way to do it. Because I've seen students who would just not show up to class and just rely on these things. So I think one of the professors that I had used classes from previous years or from other classes. So we had to go there, but it's not the full picture. So we have to be in class, but then we have additional resources from him.
With lecture slides, I know that there are a lot of professors that kind of go back and forth on, should I post them online, should I not post them online? I do notice that in the classes that where I've had professors post their slides online, I've been very grateful for it, because when the professors don't post them online, I'm spending the entire lecture just trying to copy down whatever's on the slides, and usually there's a bunch of text, and it's okay, I'm trying to spending so much time focusing on what do I take down, what do I not, whereas when the slides get posted online, then I'm actually engaging with what the anecdotes that the professor is talking about in the lecture, and kind of as she explains all the points on the slides, and then I can take notes on that, and then kind of reconcile that with the slides afterwards as I study the material.